Welcome to the Fundamentals of Potty Training course. My name is Julia Walker and I am a nurse, parent of two little ones, and potty expert. In this video, we are going to cover all the things every new to potty training parent needs to know before they get started. So we're going to cover all of those basics, those things that every parent's Googling late at night trying to figure out what they need to know about this particular thing. So we're going to talk about the best age or ages to start potty training, what signs you're looking for that show, yes, my kid is ready to get started on this, and if your kid is not showing signs, how to get them interested in using the potty. Then we're going to talk about where you want to start. What do you do first when you decide, okay, my kid is ready to get started on this thing? After that, we're going to cover nighttime potty training, and we're going to answer one of those really common questions every parent wants to know. Is it easier or harder to potty train girls versus boys? What's the difference? And finally, we're going to impart some parent-to-parent wisdom, some encouragement, some just pearls of advice, if you will, that can help you feel confident, ready, and excited to get going on this milestone with your kiddo. Before we dig in, please know that you don't have to memorize any of this, right? This is just information to get you started and to get you feeling more prepared as you get going on this milestone. What we're offering today is part of a full system. So we have a complete online library of all the things that you might be interested in knowing or learning about as you get ready to potty train. And if you ever get stuck or feel like you need someone to lean on, an extra shoulder, whatever it may be, you can always reach out to me personally. I'm available in a variety of ways to help you and your little one thrive during potty training. So let's get started with the best age to potty train your little one. So every parent wants to know, what is the ideal age to start potty training my kid? Is there that perfect window in which I know this is going to be super successful, super short, the most painless time to start? I wish I had that answer for you, but it really doesn't apply. There is not one specific age or time that is ideal for every single kid. Now, with that said, there's definitely an age range that can be a pretty sure bet for most kiddos that sometime in that window is going to be a good time to start potty training more seriously. So generally speaking, between 27 months to 32 months, that is a really good time where your child is very receptive to learning new skills and to letting you kind of take the ropes and helping them learn those skills. Up to 36 months can work great too, and kids can definitely start before 27 months as well. In fact, a lot of kids show signs that they're ready even before their second birthday. So again, there's a lot of variety in when you want to start, but if you're just trying to nail down a good time to be really aware of when you might want to get going, watch for that 27 to 32 month window. Now, if you start too early, just know it's completely fine, especially if your kid is showing signs. But know that it can take younger kids a little bit longer to potty train, which makes sense, right? Their bodies are still really trying to develop that ability to withhold and control their bladder and bowels. So it can take a little bit longer, but it doesn't mean that it's harmful in any way to start earlier rather than later. In fact, it's usually a little more complicated, as you can probably guess, if you start too late. So generally speaking, kiddos after 36 months can become a little more challenging to potty train because developmentally, it's very normal for them to want to have more control and independence, especially over their bodies, because that's something that they do indeed control. And so some parents that wait a little bit longer will find that maybe their child's a little more resistant, or they can, have a little more sway and influence on how the potty training experience is going to go. But again, it's not going to be very helpful to start at any specific age unless your kid is showing those signs that yes, indeed, they are ready to start potty training. So now let's look at the signs you want to look for so you know, yes, let's get going. My kid is ready for this. So rather than using age as the primary determining factor of when you want to start potty training, look for those signs. So every child is going to start to give you cues that they are ready for potty training. So of course there's physical signs first. So these are just things like they're starting to stay drier between diaper changes. So maybe their diaper's staying dry for 2 or more hours at a time. These are maybe kiddos that like to poop in their diaper behind the couch every single time. Obviously, they're starting to notice they have this urge and they go to a specific location. This is a great sign that maybe it's time to relocate to the bathroom. Also, children that let you know when they have pooped or peed is a great sign because they're very aware that something has changed down there. Of course, if you have a kid that comes to you and says, "I'm pooping" or "I need to poop," that is definitely a great time to get after it. Now, of course, there's some developmental things that children have to be able to do before they can potty train independently. So they need to be able to do things like climbing up on a step stool relatively independently, right? Without too much help, so that they can get up onto the adult potty if that's what you're using, or to wash their hands. Being able to undress themselves and pull their pants back up is also important. Now, obviously they don't need to be wearing tight leggings or jeggings with a button or whatever, but if they have, elastic pants or waistbands, then if they can pull them up, that's awesome. That's a really good sign that they may be ready to start potty training too. Also, there has to be a level of interest in potty training as well, right? So if you notice that your kid is following you into the bathroom more, or they're very curious about what you're doing in there, or if they have a big brother or sister that they follow in there, that's a sign that maybe they're pretty interested in getting going on this. Likewise, if they're asking questions about poop and pee, or they're watching animals do it, that could be a sign that, okay, it's time to take this further and get going. So what do you do if you don't see those signs, though? This is a really tough place for a lot of parents to be in. What you want to do is build curiosity. So that's what we're going to go through next. Some parents get pretty worried when they don't see those signs of readiness in their kiddo, especially if they're in that ideal age range of 2 to 3, say ages 2 to 3. Fortunately, though, as parents, we can help build their curiosity. We can help them get interested in potty training. If you think about it, curiosity is how we learn about our world. All animals, in fact, have to be curious in order to know how to survive. And the same can be applied to children with potty training. So if you're trying to build interest in your child, make it fun, first and foremost. Make it something that they want to know about. So start to read books. There's so many great kids books about using the potty. You can even read books about animals using the potty. If you have a pet, get your kid involved in, feeding them, taking them out to poop in the backyard or whatever it may be, and helping clean up after it even. Or go to the zoo and watch animals do that. Definitely invite them into the bathroom with you. Talk about what's going on. When you're changing their diapers, start talking to them about what happened and get them interested in diapering in general. You can start to say, okay, you've pooped in your diaper. Let's go with mommy or daddy to the toilet and let's dump it in together. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. And if your child is just really not that interested in it, like they don't even want to come to the bathroom with you or ask questions, they don't even want to explore a public restroom. That's always a great thing to try with new to potty training kiddos. You can just start to cultivate their confidence in other areas, right? Because being ready to use the potty requires quite a bit of confidence and just knowing that you can read signs by your body and you can act on them, right? So help them in other ways build that confidence so that it can translate to the potty. So you can start to help them learn to become masters at hand washing. That is something that all kids love to do. Get them a step stool so they can climb up and wash their hands when they need to before dinner. Try to let them do it as independently as possible because that makes them more confident and more excited about it. Make sure you have an easy to dispense soap dispenser that's maybe even kid related or kid themed so it's fun for them, and help them master that or help involve them in meal prep, setting the table, all the things that are important in our day-to-day. If you can start building confidence in other areas it can really translate to potty training too. And if you're not seeing signs, like you've tried everything, you've got all the books, you've done all the things, don't stress. Your kid will get there eventually. Give it a rest, take a couple weeks, months, whatever it takes off, and try again. And always make it as positive as possible. Try not to ever shame them or force them to become interested in the potty, because it will eventually happen. It just may be that they don't do it when the neighbor kid does, or your sister-in-law's kid did, whatever it is. So that's some tips on building curiosity and what to do if you don't see it yet. Now let's talk about, where do you even begin when your kid is ready to potty train? Okay, so your kid is showing signs that they're ready, signs that they're interested, and it happens to be a good time for your family. Now is a good time to start potty training. On the note of timing, one quick thing: if your family is in a big transitional period, so say you're moving soon, you have a new baby that's going to arrive soon, or you've got a big career switch. If something big is about to happen, you might want to hold off on potty training. Here's why. When their environment gets hectic, children often regress, and that's very normal. In fact, we all do that. So don't be surprised if you see that if you are already in the midst of potty training, but if you're thinking about getting started, you may want to wait until after that big event happens. Now, if it's several weeks to months down the road, don't hold your kid back from doing something that they're ready to do. It's just something to consider when you're getting started. Now, with starting, the first thing you want to do is pick an approach. I know that sounds intimidating, and there's a lot of different approaches out there, or methods to potty training. You don't have to necessarily pick one and go with it, right? In fact, you don't even have to really pick one, but you should think about what your approach is going to be. Think about what type of parent you are. Are you a parent that, we're go-getters, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get this done? And if your kid responds well to it, that's definitely an approach you might want to take. And something like the 3-day method might be really awesome for both you and your kid. However, if you're more relaxed, laid back, your child is also very responsive to a more laid back atmosphere, you might want to go more slow and steady through the whole potty training thing. That's what a lot of us have done. And yes, it can take a little bit longer perhaps than the 3-day method, but you'll get there eventually, and it's without any stress for the most part, and it can be super fun and relaxing. So there's a lot of different things to think about, but in general, when you're getting started, think about how you will do best in potty training. I know that seems weird, being like putting the parent first, but you're going to have a huge impact on how this experience is for your kid. So if you're a pretty relaxed parent and you're really trying to push that 3-day method, your kid might not jive very well with that. So think about what's natural for you, and of course, think about how your child responds to things. If your child is really interested in, yes, making mommy and daddy happy, doing these things, checking off lists, things like that, they may be awesome at the 3-day method, or they may just really want to get this thing over with just like you. So think about your approach and what will be best for your child. And again, you don't have to stick with it necessarily, but it's just something to guide you. Next, after you've thought about how you're, going to feel and approach this thing, you're probably wondering, what do I need to buy? Every parent wants to buy stuff right now, right? Because click on Amazon and it's like instant gratification. That potty seat is on its way. But you can definitely go down the rabbit hole with buying a ton of stuff for potty training that you're not going to use. Instead of buying a bunch of plastic stuff, think about borrowing this stuff, because this is going to be a short-lived thing. So if you do have a friend that just potty trained their kid recently and they have a potty chair, awesome. See if you can borrow that. That's one thing that is honestly really helpful to have, is a potty that is their own size. Sometimes that big potty can feel really intimidating, so it's just nice to have. But if your kid is totally cool climbing up a little step stool to get up to the potty, and you have a potty insert, like something that goes on the actual adult toilet and is smaller so they don't fall in, if your kid is awesome with that, that's great. And that's even a really good thing to have as well, just so that when they do transition from the potty chair, they can feel like they're not going to fall into the big potty. So that's a good thing to have. Can't recommend flushable wipes enough, especially in the beginning. You know, your kid's tush is used to having nice wipes probably, and when they're starting to learn how to wipe themselves, it's probably going to be a little messy. So wipes are generally just easier. So flushable wipes are great to have. Of course, undies. That's like the most fun thing. Go get them some really awesome underwear that they're excited to wear. Don't pick something that's going to make you excited, because that's not what it's about, right? Let them pick the Superman underwear or the Peppa Pig underwear, whatever it is. And definitely get them involved. Make them excited. Make that a fun experience. Undie shopping is the best. And then lastly, what you probably want to think about is just getting some kids' potty books. These aren't really things you want to borrow from the library just because, well, it's going to be in the bathroom, so you don't really know what's going to happen to them. But having some great books on hand can be really awesome. It's something you can set next to the potty. They can read it. You can read it to them while you're sitting on the bathroom floor. It buys you some time. It buys them some time on the potty, and it gets them excited. So those, honestly, I mean, if you think about it, that's 4 things. A potty chair, potty insert will include in there, undies, flushable wipes, and books. And of course, every parent, I guess I should say 5. Make sure you have a step stool. You probably do, but something that they can securely get onto the potty, as well as get up to wash their hands. You probably already have this in your house too, but have plenty of cleaning supplies on hand, because there will be accidents. That is such a normal part of potty training. Just make sure you're prepared and totally get your kid involved in cleaning it up. Don't shame them and be like, you have to clean this up, but just make it fun. Be like, yeah, we're gonna clean this pee up now. So that's on what you need to buy and just have on hand. Next, let's talk about rewards. So depending on what you've read on Google or who you've talked to, there's a pretty strong opinion on whether or not you should use rewards in potty training. I'll be completely frank, we are pretty pro rewards. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of reward, but everybody, adults included, needs some type of positive reinforcement in order to keep doing a normal expected behavior. So for us as adults, the reason we probably don't poop in our pants anymore is because the reward is being dry, not disgusting, and grossed out, right? But kids don't know that. They've been pooping in their diapers since they were born. So having something tangible or some type of positive reinforcement, even if it's quality time with mom and dad, that is such good validation and encouragement to keep doing what they're doing, right? So I can't recommend enough to have something in mind of how you want to go about the rewards. For a lot of parents, it's just, if you peed, you get to have 1 M&M. If you pooped, you get to have 2 M&Ms. Some parents like to do the toys. Some parents do a big high five and a big hug. Awesome. Whatever it is, keep it positive, keep them excited. One thing you might have to consider is sometimes parents are like, well, my kid got a truck when they pooped in the potty. Now they've done it again, and now they want to go to Jump Street for, a day. So sometimes rewards can escalate. It's something that you have to think about and prepare, and that's kind of one of the, negatives from people that are in the no rewards camp. But that's something you can prepare for, and just have a cool plan, and it'll be okay. Lastly, when you're getting started, you want to think about a potty schedule. So this is not something you have to stick to, but you are going to have some kind of template for potty using. So look at your kids' natural rhythms before your potty training. Are they kids that eat breakfast and then poop 30 minutes later? If so, make sure you are in the bathroom 30 minutes later, so you have a really good chance of having that poop end up somewhere in the bathroom, ideally in the potty chair or on the toilet. Also, try to be consistent with pee breaks. Play for 30 minutes, have some water in between, and then, okay, we're gonna go pee now. Before we transition, before we go in the car, before we have lunch, we go pee and we wash our hands. Just start to have a rhythm, develop a rhythm that follows your child's natural rhythms that they're doing in their diaper, so that when it comes time to taking the diaper away completely, they can feel pretty confident and they can start to train their bodies on when they need to go to the bathroom. So now let's get into nighttime potty training, because this is something that you can do simultaneously with daytime potty training, but you certainly don't have to. So just like with daytime potty training, when it comes to being ready to potty train your kiddo at night, you want to look for signs. It's the same thing. If your child is starting to wake up dry in the morning, definitely get after nighttime potty training. If they're, starting to rouse themselves earlier in the morning, but they still have a soiled diaper, maybe that's a sign that, okay, they're kind of uncomfortable with this. And you can definitely see that in kids that are starting to master daytime dryness. So look for those signs, and once you start to see them, don't hesitate to get started. And don't think that there won't be some accidents, because there will. But the goal is to start helping your kid realize that, okay, I'm capable of doing this at night too. So first of all, do you have to do daytime potty training at the same time as nighttime potty training? Absolutely not. If your kid is not ready for nighttime, don't worry about it. Same thing if you're on a deadline where you're like, the preschool requires us to have no diapers, and your kid is already like struggling to get the daytime thing going, don't even worry about nighttime. A lot of kids don't master nighttime training for several months to even honestly years after daytime training. Some kids do it simultaneously. There's a big difference here. But there's actually a lot of children out there that are 6 that have nighttime dryness issues. Of course, at that age, you really do want to be talking to your pediatrician just to make sure something else isn't going on. But know that it's not totally crazy if you have a 4, maybe even 5-year-old that has some dryness problems at night. So with that said, when you do decide to start nighttime potty training, a couple things to help you, set you up for success. Number 1, make sure you have a mattress protector, one that is totally geared for those nighttime accidents, because the reality is they're probably going to happen. So just make sure you can save your mattress. Have an extra spare set of sheets and mattress protectors, so if they do get wet in the night and wake you up, you can rip them off, put a new set on, go back to bed. Same thing, have some dry jammies on hand as well. If your kid is wearing underwear with their jammies, try to avoid the thicker underwear that are really tailored to us parents that are a little worried that they might pee. Because those can honestly feel like a diaper sometimes. So just make sure they're wearing thin underwear, and that's a good tip for daytime as well. The cotton, thin undies are probably best so that your kid knows immediately when they pee. So as far as scheduling goes, if you're doing that nighttime thing, have them pee 30 minutes before bedtime. Try to withhold water and beverages after dinner. Of course, you never want to withhold them from water, but try not to, have them guzzling water right before bed, because then obviously they're going to be up and, they're more likely to wet the bed, right? So also you have them go 30 minutes before bed, and then do your bedtime routine, stories, whatever, and then have them go one more time right before they fall asleep. That way their bladder is as empty as possible, and you can see how the night goes. Some parents are like, I wake my kid up before I go to bed just to make sure their bladders are dry. Generally speaking, as a nurse, I don't fully recommend that, because we don't want to interrupt children's sleep ever. But if that's something that you're like, yes, this helps my kid, go for it. That's great. The last pearl that I want to offer if you're doing nighttime potty training is, if your kid's in a crib, take them out, because they're trying to learn how to keep their sheets dry. And if you don't hear them, if they're not able to communicate yet that they need to get up in the middle of the night, they're stuck in a crib where they're going to have an accident. So just make sure that you have transitioned them to a toddler bed or some other situation where they can safely get to the bathroom if they need to. So that also includes night lights and things like that. So as we get closer to the conclusion of this course, there's a burning question that basically all parents ask themselves at some point or wonder about. And is it harder to potty train girls or boys? Regrettably, our poor boys get a bad rap from a lot of people saying, boys are harder to potty train, they take longer, they're so messy, whatever it is. As I said, they get a bad rap, and it's not necessarily justified. Here's what we know about potty training boys versus girls. Boys can take a little bit longer. Girls can complete potty training a little bit sooner. That's according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. There's nothing that shows that boys are more difficult, they're harder, whatever it is. There's also nothing that says girls are more difficult or easier or whatever it is. In general, there's actually not a lot of research on gender or sex differences between potty training and potty training success rates, other than, again, boys can take a little bit longer. And it's largely due to developmental, differences between boys and girls. So that's just something that you should consider. If you have Sally down the street telling you, oh, you've got a boy, you poor thing, smile or don't and move on. You do not need to listen to that. And even if grandma says it, oh, your dad was so much harder than your mom or your aunt, whatever, that's their experience. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be yours. So if you are a boy mom or boy dad or boy caregiver, lucky you, because you get to have so much fun telling them to go pee on that tree in the backyard, or you can go pee right there on that X. It makes it a lot more fun. Girls can do it too. Their anatomy's not quite as conducive for that, but they can still have a lot of fun with that too. So if you're a boy parent too, you're probably going to be faced with, should they stand up or sit down? Totally a personal choice. All boys will probably end up peeing standing up in public restrooms, so they do need to learn that skill. It can be messier, especially in the beginning when you're potty training, but it doesn't mean that you can't teach them to pee standing up or pee sitting down. It's really a personal choice. So don't let anyone give you any flack for if you have a boy and you're teaching them to pee standing up or whatever. It's your experience, and boys are great, girls are great, and your kid is awesome. Before we wrap up, there's some pearls of wisdom that we at Pooping on the Potty want to share with you. We're parents and I'm a nurse, so coming from a few different backgrounds, we want to share these pearls to help ease your experience as a parent with potty training. Number one, this is not your milestone, it's your kids. So you are totally free to not feel judged by other people, to not take ownership over if your kid is having trouble with pooping, for example. This is their experience again. So take yourself out of the equation and just recognize that your role is to support them, to love them, and to keep things as positive as possible. Secondly, don't let the fear of judgment impose or impact how you potty train your child. So if you decide to be a slow and steady potty trainer and you're in a circle of 3-day potty trainers, don't let their experiences sway how you potty train your kid, because you know your kid best. Just remember that. Whatever anybody else says, you're doing great and your kid is doing great. The next thing is accidents are totally normal. We can't even call them accidents because it's a very normal way of learning this new skill. So know that they're going to happen. Don't shame your kid when they do happen. Don't feel bad yourself if they happen. It's just part of it. Finally, let's get back to what our role as parents is in this. And it really is to support and love and encourage our child. Potty training is actually really awesome. So many parents enter it like, oh my gosh, we're now at the potty training stage. Everyone says this is terrible. Don't listen to them, because it's actually a really awesome opportunity to bond you with your child and for you to see them take ownership over their bodies. It's actually really cool. And to know that your role from here on out is really just to support, love, and encourage them. So this is really one of the first times where we get to take a back seat. Yes, we get to help provide the directions, if you will, in getting them to the right area, provide the resources necessary. Guidance as needed, but again, this is their milestone and you're along for the ride and you're there to support them. Okay, so we've made it to the end of this Fundamentals of Potty Training course. To recap, this is what we've gone over. We talked about the best age to start potty training your kid. Generally speaking, somewhere between ages 2 and 3. That ideal window that a lot of us talk about is between 27 months and 32 months. But every kid is unique. And knowing when to start potty training your kid really starts with signs. That's the next thing we talked about. You want to look for signs of readiness in your child. If you're not seeing them, we then talked about building curiosity. Help them become really stoked about potty training. Make it something that they really want to do. Okay, and if they're just not receptive to that yet, don't stress. Try again in a couple weeks, whatever it is. Give it time, they will eventually get there. We then talked about what to do when you have a kid that's ready to potty train. So we talked about everything from potty schedules to using rewards, what you need to buy, things like that. Again, just think about it. Think about an approach if you want to take follow a specific method, or think how you and your kid will best respond to potty training here. Next, we talked about nighttime potty training, and yes, if your kid is showing signs of readiness again, yes, definitely go for the nighttime potty training if they're ready for it. And if they're not, they have time. Don't try to stress that. Ideally, make sure, number one, they're getting plenty of sleep and they're really getting confident with that daytime potty training. We also talked about the difference between boys and girls. Again, other than the fact that the American Academy of Pediatrics says that girls will complete potty training sooner than boys, there's really no difference other than the obvious anatomical differences. So don't listen to anyone saying one's harder than the other. And lastly, we talked about some pearls of wisdom, right? Where this isn't our milestone, this is our kids, and our role is really just to be positive and supportive and loving. Now, probably the most important part of this to remember, I know it's a lot, it was like over 30 minutes or around there, so that's a lot of information. Most important thing to take away from this right now, if you have to remember anything, is that signs of readiness. Just keep your eye out for indications that your kid is, starting to get ready to potty train. Now, again, this is a lot to take in. So we have an entire online library covering all of this and more. We even tell you what good books are out there for kids to potty train. We get more into what it's like to potty train a boy, potty train a girl. All those things are available in our online library. And also, I'm available. So you can contact me anyway. We can have a one-on-one session. You can send me a quick message saying, hey, we're struggling with this. I can reply with a quick video. There's a lot of different ways that we're here to support you. So we are not a specific, we don't follow a specific method or encourage you to do potty training a certain way. In fact, all that we really do is we really encourage you to have fun with it, have your kid have fun with it, and really enjoy it. So our role is to support you from start to finish through all the bumps, if there are any, which there probably will be. We're here for you. So please reach out. Let us know how we can help you and your little one have the best time bonding over this really awesome milestone.